This podcast is brought to you by Audible. Now, Audible is the number one audiobook platform in the entire world. Now, why I really like this is because audiobooks are great for learning on the go while you're working out, while you're driving, or doing any miscellaneous tasks. Instead of doing something mindless, we can actually be learning and adding to our knowledge base. And you know that we're all about being the greatest versions of ourselves here. And part of that is learning more, applying it, and progressing in our own lives. I've read over 400 books just this past couple of years on Audible. You can find anything that you want here, any type of genre, any type of book. The membership includes one free credit a month, which is basically one free book per month. And books here tend to be much more cheaper than you would have them physically. If you want to try Audible today, you go to audibletrial.com/AG Wellness. That's AUDIBLETRIAL.com/AG Wellness. That is where you'll get your first month for free. Now, let's get to the podcast. The sacred art of cooking, reclaiming your kitchen to reclaim your health. Humans have been always cooking their food for eons up until very recent times. It's one of the most important things that have developed our brains today. We have everything at our fingertips today virtually. We can order things from apps, and none of this is necessarily a bad thing. It's good for trying new things and convenience. The issue at hand may be that we're no longer involved in the process of our own food. Cooking helps build a relationship with food, and we often make healthier decisions. While you're cooking, you have complete control over what goes in your food, and it allows you to make more health-affirming decisions. Without further ado, we're going to get into some tips on how to have healthier meals at home. So, number one here is the cooking oils themselves. Now, most of the oils are making people sick, and they don't even know it. Vegetable oils are the primary thing that are people using in their kitchen. The thing about these oils is that it doesn't come from vegetables. These are just a marketing term. They come from corn, canola, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, and soybean. These are primarily grains and seeds. That's not bad in and of themselves. Like, you can have these foods if you want to, if they are in alignment with your own health. It's not for everyone. But the problem is when we take these foods, they're very difficult to create oils out of them, and then we create oils out of them. These oils contain a substantial amount of polyunsaturated fat. Now, we need that, but it's about the ratios, the omega-3 to omega-6 ratios. To have proper inflammatory balance within our bodies, make sure everything is working properly, we need a 1:1 to 1:4 omega-3 to 6 ratio. Now, these oils have like a 1:100 omega-3 to 6 ratio, and that dramatically impacts our body. Like most people, when they get tested, they're walking around from like 1 to 20, which is one of the primary causes for all other chronic diseases. And high amounts of polyunsaturated fat makes it much more susceptible to oxidation or going bad while cooking. Now, when we talk about the smoke point, this usually has more to do with the taste and culinary purposes, not as much to do with health. There are certain issues that can happen if you exceed the smoke point, but the more important thing is the type of fat itself, whether it's a stable fat or non-stable fat. A stable fat is usually saturated fat. Saturated fat is very stable because it's solid at room temperature. Now, if we get into the chemistry of it, fat on a molecular level consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Now, saturated fat contains all double bonds. It means that there's no room for an oxidation to take place. When we get into monounsaturated, that's one single bond, which means that there's one spot for oxygen to get through or cause oxidation. Polyunsaturated fat means that there's more places to get oxidized. So saturated fat is very heat stable. So coconut oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, olive oil, avocado oil. You gotta be careful with avocado and olive oil because legally they're allowed to have 40% vegetable oils within them. So they're adulterated, and a lot of people don't know that. So make sure you're getting high quality sources here. And the thing with olive oil is that you can cook with it. It just depends. Like it depends on the boldness. Like there's so many different types of olive oils. They got like mild, moderate, and bold. And the bold is the one that you tend to be able to cook with because it's much more protected by high amounts of polyphenols or antioxidants. The other ones, you're probably better off just drizzling over the food because it is delicate in and of itself. But the high amounts of antioxidants in bold olive oil usually means that you can cook with it. And the thing about olive oil, to make sure that's authentic, it's supposed to be spicy. Like a dull, bland olive oil usually is riddled with vegetable oil. And you want it in a dark glass bottle because it is photosensitive. It gets broken down by light. So high quality olive oil, extra virgin, organic, glass bottle, That's top notch. The rest of the stuff you probably want to avoid. Next, getting into the cookware in of itself, because Teflon coating is very toxic. When it gets heated, it releases chemicals such as PTFEs and PFOAs. There's something called polyfume fever, which is kind of mimicking of the flu, which has been shown to be caused by these chemicals. PFOAs have been shown to cause liver damage, thyroid dysfunction, immune dysfunction, and an inability to fight infection. These are also known as persistent chemicals, which means that they stay in the body and the environment for a long period of time. Hard to get rid of. Healthy alternatives will be ceramic, cast iron, stainless steel, and be careful of cast iron, especially if you're a man, because men tend to have higher iron levels, and you do get some of that iron while you're cooking with it. So just be careful with that. It can be high quality, but if your iron levels are high, you may want to go to something else.